College basketball is in full swing, and if you've missed a lot of it, it is totally understandable. There's NFL playoffs going on right now. There's so many things going on right now, and college basketball in and of itself is the hardest sport to keep track of, probably hardest of them all. There's things going on every day in this sport and huge implications night in and night out, and that's honestly what makes the sport so special to me. You just can't miss it all. You can't miss anything. It's so fun to keep up with, and that's why this video is here. If you've missed a lot, I'll give you a comprehensive recap, or hopefully comprehensive recap, of everything you've missed and what you need to know to watch the last 2.5, 3 months of college basketball season. So I hope I give you enough information. I'm not going to get to everything. Obviously, the video would be 3 hours long, but I'm going to try my best to give you a full recap on everything you've missed so far. Also, if you just love sports, college basketball, college football, NBA, NFL, and even movies and TV shows, please subscribe to this channel. That's all I talk about, and it would be so helpful if you subscribe. First off, Cooper Flagg, who I hope you have heard of if you're watching this video, is the best player in college basketball at the young age of 18. He leads Duke in all 5 categories up to this point: points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. He is averaging 19 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 4 assists to go with almost a block and a half a night and 2 steals a night. He has been everything and more. He's hyped up to be and firmly going to be the #1 pick in the NBA draft in just 5 months. He also just broke the ACC freshman record in points yesterday with 42 points against Notre Dame. Unbelievable. The best team in the sport is the Auburn Tigers. They've been ranked #2 in the AP poll for the last month, which brings me to another point. Do not listen or invest time in the AP poll because they do not watch college basketball. The Auburn Tigers are 15-1 with their only loss coming to, get this, the Duke Blue Devils and Cooper Flagg at Cameron Indoor over a month ago. Since then, they are 8-0 and 3-0 in a loaded SEC. More on that later. They have wins over Houston, Iowa State, North Carolina, Memphis, Ohio State, Purdue, Missouri, Texas, and South Carolina. Their best player, who has an argument to be the best player in college basketball, is Johni Broome, who can do it all. He sprained his ankle yesterday against South Carolina, but he should be fine in a week or two. The SEC is the best conference in college basketball by a long shot, and this season they have accomplished historical things in the non-conference. The SEC went 14-2 in the SEC ACC Challenge this year, which is almost unbelievable. The top of the conference includes Auburn, who I just talked about, Tennessee, who is 15-1 right now, and only loss comes to the hands of a Florida Gators team, who, might I add, Florida beat them by, it seemed like, 50 points. It was insane. I think it was Tuesday night. But Florida's also 15-1 with their only loss coming to a loaded Kentucky team, which that was a game where both teams scored 100 points and Kentucky just, Kobe Bryant was just unbelievable that game. Kentucky is 13-3 right now. Obviously, new coach Mark Pope is just doing an awesome job with the fundamentals and the playmaking over there. Mississippi State is 13-3 and just fought Kentucky tooth and nail last night. And they have a star sophomore in Josh Hubbard, who definitely could have won SEC Freshman of the Year last year, but Reed Sheppard got it over him. Same goes for South Carolina, who is 0-3 and probably the worst team in the SEC as of right now, but they had plenty of chances to beat Auburn yesterday. Alabama is 14-2 with wins over Houston, Illinois, North Carolina, Creighton, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M. Ole Miss, with Chris Beard, is 14-2 and is looking like a tournament team so far. Mike White has the Georgia Bulldogs looking like a tournament team as well, with 5-star freshman Asa Newell getting double-doubles left and right. He's the highest recruit since, get this, Anthony Edwards, who is obviously just going off in the NBA right now. And John Calipari and Arkansas have been disappointing so far in the SEC, and I'm not sure if they'll figure it out. They just don't have a lot of shooting. Boogie Fland and DJ Wagner have been okay so far. They've had some really good moments and some really bad moments. But since I'm an Arkansas fan, I truly hope they do figure it out just for my sake. The ACC is the worst of the power conferences so far, but they do have a lot of good potential. Duke, as mentioned before, is one of the best teams in the country and is at the top of the ACC. North Carolina has not figured it out quite yet, but they do have some key wins over Dayton, UCLA, and SMU. Plus, as always, they have all the talent in the world with R.J. Davis, Elliot Cadeau, Seth Trimble, and standout freshman Ian Jackson, who is emerging lately. His last 5 games, he's got like 25 plus points in the last 5. He has just been going off lately. Clemson and Brad Brownell are trying to get it together after an Elite Eight appearance last season, and I mean, they took Alabama to the brink, could have easily been a Final Four team, but they are trying to get it together. A lot of pieces returning with Chase Hunter and Ian Shefflin, but they will need to build chemistry with the other players. Louisville turned around to the century so far with Pat Kelsey coming from Charleston, coaching these guys to a 12-5 record so far, with wins over Indiana, West Virginia, North Carolina, Clemson, and Pitt yesterday. And Pat Kelsey, man, he's got this team just totally different from the last couple years. And it's so fun to see, especially Louisville. It's so fun when they're good again. They're looking like the second best team in the ACC. Speaking of Pitt, they are looking strong as well. Jalen Lowe, one of the highest IQ players in the country. He's a great leader for this team. He's an awesome point guard to watch. And Jeff Capel is having his best year so far with a 12-4 record. UConn, the defending back-to-back national champions, are the best teams, or one of the best teams in college basketball, if they're not playing in Maui. Get this, the Huskies went 37-3 last year and won the national title, obviously. They went 0-3 in Maui this year. Unbelievable. After Maui, they got it back rolling with 8 wins in a row, including wins over Gonzaga, Texas, and Baylor. Liam McNeely is a stud freshman, and Solo Ball is shooting the three at an unconscious rate right now. Marquette, though, they are the best team in the Big East right now, in my opinion. Cam Jones is their best player, and he might be my favorite player to watch. Just the way he play makes and shot creates. He's a true hooper, if you know what I mean by that. He's playing like one of the best guys in the entire country, but he is getting some big-time help from guys like David Joplin, Stevie Mitchell, Chase Ross, and Ben Gold. Really high potential for this Marquette team. Kansas is weird. Bill Self is not having the season he wants to right now, but they have plenty of upside to be national title level good. They are 12-3 right now, with 2 losses coming back-to-back at Creighton and at Missouri. They did lose to West Virginia at home a couple weeks ago. That was an absolute shocker in my opinion. That West Virginia team didn't even have DeVries in that game, so really shocking to me. But Hunter Dickinson, DeJuan Harris, and KJ Adams doing what you would expect they should do. But when Shaquille Moore is playing good, this team is at its fullest potential. Iowa State may be the second best team in the country. Only loss coming to Auburn by 2 points, who I have as my number 1 team. So yes, it makes sense that they would be the second best team in the country. TJ Otzelberger has got this team playing at an unreal rate right now. They just won an absolute barn burner at Texas Tech yesterday in a game that looked out of reach for them several times. Tamin Lipsey, Keyshawn Gilbert, and Curtis Jones, they make this team go, and their bigs are great as well. But the thing that stands out to me is how hard this team plays every single possession. They have Kansas at Hilton Coliseum on Wednesday night. Get your popcorn ready. Staying in the Big 12, Houston is also really good. They had the upside to be Final Four level, but their offense and playmaking still scares me a bit. LJ Cryer and Emmanuel Sharp have both been awesome though. Baylor is kind of strange so far. Don't know what you're going to get from them night in and night out. Norchad Omier, the transfer from Miami, is playing good ball so far. 5-star freshman VJ Edgecombe has had some really good games, but Jeremy Roach has been okay, and Langston Love has just been outright disappointing for them. Rick Pitino has St. John's rolling right now. They just got a big win last night at Madison Square Garden over a Villanova team that is playing good ball right now. RJ Lewis and Zuby Ejiofor have been awesome for St. John's so far this season. Michigan State is the hottest team in the Big Ten as of right now. Tom Izzo has this team hooping. They just blew out Northwestern in Evanston a few hours ago, and I know it was 78-68, but it was truly never close. This team has not lost since the Maui Invitational in late November. Their arch nemesis Michigan is also heating up right now, with Dusty May coming over from FAU to coach the Wolverines. As you know, if you haven't been paying attention, FAU went to the Final Four in 2022, and Dusty May was the head coach of them. Now he's at Michigan. The Twin Towers from Michigan, Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden, are just an insane duo. I mean, they're 7-footers that run pick and rolls together. It's so fun to watch. If you haven't watched them, definitely check them out. And Danny Wolf is a top 10 to 15 player in basketball right now, and he can do everything on the court at 7 foot. Speaking of 7-footers, Purdue is consistent as consistent gets, even after their departure of their 7-footer, Zach Edey, who is playing really good in the NBA, even though most people thought he would never touch an NBA court. Trey Kaufman-Wren is doing things on the low block right now in place of Zach Edey, and he's been really good this season. And obviously, Braden Smith could be the best point guard in the country. Oregon comes to the Big Ten and does not skip a beat, sitting at 14-2 right now and just has so much talent. Jackson Shelstad is unreal some nights, and Keyshawn Barthelemy is playing very good as well. I didn't know his name until this season, but he's been awesome to watch. They did just lose to Illinois, but it felt like 70 points the other night. And if I would have recorded this video 3 days ago, I would have said Illinois is the hottest team in the conference right now. But they did just lose at home yesterday to a struggling Eric Musselman-led USC team. But back on Illinois, Kasparis Jonas is their best player and one of the best players in the country. He's so fun to watch, and he's missed the last 2 games for Illinois, which says a lot about why they've been struggling as of late. Rutgers, whom you might remember, has 2 of the top 3 prospects from this past recruiting cycle, Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, but the Scarlet Knights have been utterly disappointing. Harper and Bailey haven't, though. They played some really good ball. It's just they just don't have any help around them, it seems like. Also, Maryland. They have a budding superstar in Derek Queen, 5-star freshman center who can dominate night in and night out for the Terrapins. They sit at 12-4. Mick Cronin and UCLA have had some awesome moments this season, like a game winner over Oregon, a win over Gonzaga and Arizona, but they have also lost 3 straight and kind of just look lifeless at the moment. Gonzaga is one of the toughest teams to predict and analyze and describe at this moment. Mark Few and the Bulldogs started the season with a 40-point win over Baylor night 1 of the college basketball season, and I was almost crowning them the 2025 national champions, but they have sputtered recently. They are 14-4 with losses to Kentucky, UConn, West Virginia, and UCLA, but they still have all the talent to be a Final Four team. That's what makes describing them so hard as of right now. Now for some mid-major teams, Memphis is really good. Penny Hardaway may have the best team he has ever coached. PJ Haggerty, the transfer from Tulsa, has played lights out all season. They have wins over UConn, Missouri, Michigan State, Clemson, Ole Miss, and North Texas. They do have a bad loss to Arkansas State at home that was shockingly not very close. They do not have a quad 1 opportunity left on the entire schedule, so it's crucial they don't step on any more landmines the rest of the way. Dayton is kind of just like Memphis, except they have multiple not good to straight up horrible losses so far. Since having awesome wins over Northwestern, UConn, and Marquette, they have lost to a Cincinnati team that doesn't seem to be very good, a conference loss at George Washington, which I know George Washington is really good in the A-10 so far this season, but Dayton should not be losing to them. I mean, it seemed like Dayton didn't have a chance when that game started. And then a quad 4 loss versus UMass the other night. In a pretty good A-10 conference, they will have some more opportunities, but they cannot waste them. Mountain West is awesome again this year as far as a watchability standpoint, but they're not as good as last season and won't get, I forget how many they got last season. They will not get 6 or 7 bids this season. Coach Pitino and the Lobos dominated San Diego State yesterday at the pit from start to finish. Donovan Dent, he's one of the funnest players to watch in all of college basketball, and they are 14-3 at the moment. Utah State and Boise State just had a battle last night in Logan where the Aggies won it on a 4-point play in the final seconds. And this 4-point play, I mean, that ball hit every inch of the rim before finding its way into the net. Utah State improves to 16-1, and Jared Calhoun, the new head coach at Utah State, he replaces Danny Sprinkle beautifully so far, in which Utah State just seems like every coach is just going to replace the other one in beautiful fashion. So I hope that is more comprehensive than you just going back and looking at scores from this past season, but there is still so much I did not get to talk about in this video. College basketball is just so vast and it changes every single night. There's huge matchups in this sport every single night. That's what's so awesome about it. So definitely start watching it if you haven't paid that much attention to it yet. And especially since football season is winding down, NFL playoffs are right now, so I got to get back to that. And College Football National Championship is next Monday. But if not, I'm always here for you. If you like this type of content, just like and definitely subscribe to this channel. It would help out so much. Also, I'm on Twitter and TikTok. I'll put those up on the screen. But I appreciate you guys.